Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Rowe. We're taking a look at Geometry Part A. This is Lesson 2, and this is just a short kind of review of how to read and use a protractor as part of the lesson. So here is a standard protractor. You notice what we have here is we have two sets of numbers. This is half a circle, which is 180 degrees. So we've got two sets of numbers here. One starts at 0 on the outside, and it goes all the way around to 180. And then we have another set of inner numbers, which you can read from the inside from 0, and it goes all the way around to 180 the opposite direction. That allows you to read the angle from either direction as you're looking at it. So let's take a look at how we use this. And we're going to describe also the protractor postulate as we go through this, is how to read an angle. So let's take a look at our angles here. Let's look at this first angle. Now, in order to read an angle, we've got this important thing right here, which is where the vertex goes, right here. You see it's a cross here, which goes all directions here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to line up the vertex on that point. And then what we have to make sure is that, you see I got this line right here. I want to line this ray up with this line right here. And then I'll be able to read the angle. So I've got it lined up. And to read the protractor, you always read starting on this ray and reading from 0. So I'm going to read from 0, so I'm reading the outer numbers. And I'm going to go up to the other ray, which is right here. And you see that's 70, and then halfway here is 5, so this is a 75-degree angle. Now let's take a look at this other angle so we can see how we read it from the opposite direction. So same thing. I'm going to line up my vertex right there on that crosshair. I'm going to make sure that my ray here, my base ray, goes right through 0, covers up that line right there that we have right there, and then I'm going to read from 0. So on this side, I am reading the inner numbers. So 0 is right here, reading all the way around, and that is a 50-degree angle. Now, how does this work with the protractor postulate? Well, the protractor postulate says that you can apply numbers to each of the rays, and you can find the angle of the measure of the angle by subtracting those angle or those ray measures. So the measure of the angle is going to be the absolute value of the difference of those two rays. So we're going to find the difference of, and we're just going to put R1 and R2 here. So we're going to find the absolute value of that. And so now I'm just going to put this in a random place here, like this. And so I'm going to read the same numbers from either direction. So if I read the outer numbers here, my first ray would be 70. My second ray would be 120. So if I fill in, I would have 70 minus 120, and that's an absolute value. So 70 minus 120 is negative 50, and the absolute value of that would be 50. Now if I read it from the opposite direction, so I'm going to put it at the same place just so we can see that we got the same numbers here. Make sure I get my vertex right. So now, if I read from the inner numbers, that one's 110, and that one is 60. So 110 up to 60. So let's follow the same process here. Let's put it up here. So the measure of the angle would be the absolute value of 110 minus 60. So 110 minus 60 is 50. Absolute value of 50 is still 50. So that's how the protractor postulate works. Now, how do we read an obtuse angle? So one that's bigger than 90 degrees. Same rules here. We're going to put the vertex on the crosshair. We're going to make our ray come out through 0. And then we read from 0. So 0 is right here. So we're going to read that inner line all the way around until we get to the other ray. You see right there, it's a 130 degree angle. So this one is 130 degrees. So that is how you read an angle measure. And there's also how you'll see some pictures of this in the lesson, how to use the protractor postulate to find the angle measure. So my last quick thing here is how do we construct an angle? So how do we use our protractor to actually make the angle? So step 1 here is to draw a base ray. So we're going to draw a base ray. So how do you do that? You're just going to take your protractor. Right down here is a straight edge. We're just going to use that straight edge to draw a ray. You want to kind of make sure it goes out beyond the protractor. That's why I kind of extended it like that. That way we can read it really easily. We're going to put our vertex, and we can do it at either end. I'm just going to do it on this end. That's my comfort level. I mean, you can do it on the other end. So we're going to line up the vertex on the crosshair. Make sure it comes out through 0. Make sure that's lined up good. And now we're constructing a 70 degree angle. So we're going to start from 0, go around to 70, follow that line out, and then put a dot right there. That dot's going to tell us where to draw our ray. So we're going to pick up our protractor, we're going to turn it to the straight edge, and then we're just going to connect that dot, and that should be pretty close to 70 degrees, depending on how much time you took. And if you see, that's looks like a pretty good 70 degree angle. All right, so how do we do a obtuse angle? Same way. So I'm going to draw my base ray. And again, I want to make sure it extends beyond. And this time I'm going to put my vertex on this side. And I'm drawing a 105 degree angle. So again, that vertex goes right there. See, vertex is right there, out through 0. I'm going up to 105 degrees. And you notice I'm always putting pressure on the protractor. That keeps it from moving so I don't mess up my angle. So this time I'm reading from 0, which is the inner line. So let's go out with the glare. There's 105 degrees right there. So again, I'm going to pick up the protractor, and I'm going to connect those dots. And there is my 105 degree angle. I'll line it back up. I did a pretty good job. So I hope this helps you with how to read and use a protractor. If you still need some assistance with this, please let me know in a teacher message or make an appointment for a help session.